In previous versions of the Rails tutorial, we had to use third-party gems in order to get image upload working. But as of Rails 5.2, image upload, and indeed file upload generally, is natively supported by Rails through a feature called active storage. Getting started with active storage is incredibly easy. All we need to do is type Rails active storage install. Now what that does is automatically creates a migration that updates our application's data model for accepting file uploads. We can take a look at it here. It's in DB migrate. You're welcome to take a look at this, but this is a good example of a situation where we don't actually have to understand the details. This is a hallmark of technical sophistication. Realizing that active storage generates this automatically might be interesting, but in fact, generally speaking, we're just going to be using the active storage API, the application programming interface, and we'll never have to deal with these low-level details. So let's close it down since we don't have to understand it, and migrate the database as usual. The first part of the active storage API that we need is a method called hasOneAttached. We'll put it in the micropost model, and it'll go under belongs to user, hasOneAttached. Image. hasOneAttached image, and I'd like to line these up. I think it looks nice. By the way, as you might guess, there's also hasManyAttached. We'll adopt the model of only a single image per micropost, but it's nice to know that we have the flexibility to add more if we wanted to. So this prepares our model, and now in the micropost form view, we need to add a place to actually upload the image. We saw this in the mockup right here. So let's take a look. This is what our form looks like right now. And so what we want is an image upload button right here. So let's put that in. There we go, put this over here. And what we'll do is put it in a class. There's actually CSS for this that we already included. Class equals image. And then the kind of form field for uploading something like this, like an image or any sort of binary file, is what's called a file field. We give it a symbol with the name of the attribute. So we conventionally pick this name image to match this image here, but they could actually be different. I'll mention something more about that in a moment. All right, let's take a look. And there it is, choose file. So when we submit this, it goes to the micropost controller. And the create action. So here in the create action, we need to attach the image to the micropost that we just built. So that looks like this. We need to attach to the image attribute that we created over here with hasOneAttached. So .image .attach. So this attach comes from active storage. And we'll want to say params of micropost and then image. Right, so this image here, put this over here, this image here has to match this, but we can say foobar and foobar here. It's convenient to use the same word just for clarity, but it's important to realize that the word image is being used in multiple contexts here. All right, now we've got the form. Click on choose file, we select a file, make a post, attach the image. So now there's an attached image and we can display it in the micropost partial. Let's put it right under the content. We'll use an image tag and then micropost.image. Let's take a look at this. See if you can figure out what will happen here. Right, so there's an error. Why is there an error? It says to model delegated to attachment, but attachment is nil. And that's because by default, microposts don't necessarily have images. Now, if you think about it, even though we haven't written any tests for the image upload, and that's left as an exercise, we do have tests for microposts. So this is the kind of thing that would be really nice if our test suite caught. And indeed, it is currently red. So what we want to do is display this image only if it exists, only if there is in fact an attached image. And active storage creates a method automatically called attached ? For exactly this purpose. So we'll say image tag micropost.image if micropost.image.attached ? And now we're green. This is a good example of the use of a test suite. Even though we don't have specific tests for this functionality yet, our test suite still told us that our application was broken. All right, at this point, it looks like everything might be working. Let's try it out. So let's choose File, put in a small picture of me, and then we do have to put in something here. If we submit, you can see that there's going to be an error. We still need some content. So do this, put in some content, submit it, and there we go. Now, this is perfectly functional, but there's actually a second way to do this. I mentioned before that we could have used something like foobar here and here, but because we used a name that matches the name of the attribute, namely image, there's an even more convenient way to do this. In fact, this micropost.build method already knows to add the image. So we can actually get rid of this line entirely and then just add image here to the permitted attributes. This is the kind of little refactoring that it's nice to do after writing a test. And as mentioned, there's an exercise on adding a test for this functionality. So I suggest using the first method, using an explicit call to the attach method, writing a test, and then refactoring to make sure it still works. Speaking of which, though, we should make sure that our test suite is still green. And it is. So we're ready to go on to the next step.